Global community, what's the deal? What we on? Today I got another compilation of TikToks that's gonna change your reality, have you asking a couple more questions and getting rid of that indoctrination the system and trying to give us our whole life. So let's get to it. Drop them globes in the chat. If you here, it's for a reason. Hit that like button, sub up to the channel. Let's get to it.
Global TV subscribe.
Reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
Well, we could, but it takes two to tango. We have to get people to take their billion-dollar ship and you know, drive it up. If when Pepe has his big sugar ships coming around and they cost $1 billion, and we say, I think it's okay now, Pepe, take your ship, drive it through the Strait of Hormuz. He may say, let me wait a little while. Now, we are pounding that area, that coast, as you know, left side. We're pounding it, like really pounding it hard. And again, they may have no mindset. We hit every one of their mine drop. They call it the mine layers, right? The ships. They're pretty sophisticated ships. Every one of them is gone. But it only takes one. So it's a little unfair. You know, you win a war, but they have no right to be doing what they're doing.
To me straight, what is the worst case scenario that you are predicting here?
I'm predicting that this is going to get worse before it gets better. This is going to be a longer and costlier conflict than just about everybody expected.
You have said that a prolonged closure of the Strait of Hormuz is a guaranteed global recession. Do you still stand by that?
Look, yes, the world economy cannot grow without 20% of its energy supply, period.
Rarely do we recognize history in the making, but is that what we are witnessing right now? We're sitting in the middle of an unprecedented time.
Yes, we are experiencing, just as a factual matter, the
In a simulated face-off in China, the robot landing quite a forceful strike right here, appearing to knock the CEO of Engine AI right to the ground there. The CEO covered in padded gear for the battle, appearing to be unharmed. The company says the moment of man versus robot was about shutting down claims that other videos of this same humanoid robot and its capabilities were just CGI.
I don't know if China has a different goal than America has with these robots, but ours were to help us do chores around the house and everyday activities and make labor easier. They're going to battle with theirs, unless they just showing off. What y'all think? Let me know. Spam it up.
Finds that there are 4 important ages in brain development: ages 9, 32, 66, and 83. That second one, 32, that's when the frontal lobe finishes developing, not 25 like we all thought. So why does this matter? The frontal lobe controls decision-making, impulse control, long-term planning, and risk assessment, literally everything marketing exploits. We've been selling to 18 to 25-year-olds as adults for decades, calling them irresponsible for financial decisions, judging them for career uncertainty, and pushing adulting content at them. The science changed. Time for culture to catch up.
The news is insane. According to a report from Daily Mail, a Tesla engineer was attacked by a Tesla robot during a, quote, brutal and bloody malfunction at the company's Giga Texas factory near Austin. Another report from the Daily Beast says, quote, a robot at Tesla allegedly attacks an engineer, stabbing its metal claws into his back and arm, leaving a trail of blood on the machinery, end quote. Now, of course, in true internet fashion, people have read those headlines and little bits and pieces of articles and jumped to the immediate conclusion that the robot being referenced in these articles is Tesla's humanoid robot known as Optimus. But that is not at all the case. Skynet hasn't taken over, not yet at least. Now, from my understanding, essentially what happened was back in 2021, a robotic assembly arm that's designed to just pick up and move aluminum parts, similar to the robots I'm showing in the video, similar to the robots every manufacturer uses, ended up malfunctioning and grabbing an engineer who was working on another robotic arm nearby, and it pinned him, causing an injury to his back and an open wound on his hand before someone else that worked there hit the emergency stop button. According to the full injury report, the engineer's injuries didn't even require him to take time off. The headlines would make you think he died.
Another episode of You Will Own Nothing and Be Happy. Car companies have slowly been testing this idea for a while now, but we are starting to see it happen out in the open. Toyota has already rolled out vehicles where certain features are tied to a monthly subscription. Imagine buying a vehicle and then still having to pay for parts of it. Heated seats, subscription. Certain remote features, subscriptions. Even access to some of the service information, subscription.
Here's the 5 subscriptions that the 2025 Toyota Camry has, because y'all want to know, and when I bought it exactly 1 year ago, I was shook too. And my free trials just expired. So number 1 is the Drive Connect, which as you can see now says subscribe. Every time I turn my car on, no matter what, it says subscribe now. So this is an AI service I can pay for. This is also if you want to use the built-in navigation. So unless you don't pay and you don't use CarPlay, you can't use anything. Also behind a paywall is the audio feature. Also, if you don't have CarPlay, you'll no longer be able to listen to music here.
Not to mention, many automakers are fully testing full month-to-month programs where a single monthly fee covers vehicle insurance, maintenance, roadside assistance. Oh, and they're also going to have mileage limits for how much that you can drive. That will cost anywhere from $600 to $850. But don't forget that you are going to be living on a universal basic income. That is where it starts to get weird for me.
Well, at what point in capitalism did we say in the system that, okay, we're just going to have them buy something, the things they used to own, we're going to keep charging them for it now? I don't know if anybody's going to be in agreement with this. We may see an influx of going to old school cars like Cuba, refurbishing them. I don't know. It's not going to work for I know that.
Where this is going. Most of these vehicles are basically computers on wheels at this point. They are connected to anything and can be updated remotely, and in some cases being controlled from outside the vehicle. So yes, that option opens the door for a future where access to parts of your own vehicle could depend on whether the subscription is active. $8 a month to use your heated seats? Nobody's actually going to own anything this way. And then I start thinking about the electric vehicle push and the pressure that we're seeing on the oil right now with this war. And it makes me wonder, is this another way to slowly price people out of their vehicles that they already have? So then the only option is to buy an electric one? Because when you stand back and you look at it, it's becoming pretty obvious that the future model for a lot of things is not ownership at all. It is renting. And transportation might be one of the biggest examples of that.
Our generation might be cooked. So we just got the financial data from Coachella, and a staggering 60% of tickets this year were bought on finance. And it gets worse, because low-key, it's not even just a $600 festival ticket. We're kind of financing everything right now. See, a few years ago, it was largely the big ticket items that cost thousands, like a TV, car, or computers. But in 2025, some of the companies that now offer buy now, pay later include DoorDash, Uber Eats, Shein, Target, and this one's crazy, even Chili's. Chili's. Bro, how are we getting into debt over our dinner? But it might not all be our fault. You see, usually when there's a cost of living crisis, people have to tighten up on unnecessary spending because you're kind of forced to choose between rent and a festival. But the Coachellas and the Ubers of the world, they put their heads together and they said, how do we still make money? So they said, okay, you can't afford $50 on dinner tonight. So how about we do just $5 over 10 weeks? And it has worked well. By 2023, more than half of Gen Z in the US used BNPL services. In 2024, the US spent more with BNPL than the top 4 countries around the world combined. And by 2027, it's projected $450 billion will be spent this way globally. But debt is debt. And now only 26% of Gen Z believe that they'll own a home by age 35. So the question is buy now, pay later just a trick to get us to spend money we don't have? Or a genuinely convenient tool that allows us to survive through a cost of living crisis?
As consumers, at some point, we have to realize we have the control. Or do y'all see a benefit to buy now, pay later on DoorDash? Let me know in the comments. Spam it up. We all not going to agree on everything.
Nature is blowing my mind. Memory loss is connected to bacteria in the gut and to gut-brain signaling. Researchers at the Ark Institute gave teenage mice the gut bacteria of old mice and then watched as their ability to remember things dropped off a cliff. And they found one bacteria in particular that seemed to drive this and proved it because giving the young teenage mice antibiotics restored their ability to perform on memory tests. But the way it impairs memory is really weird. The bacteria produces medium-chain fatty acids, which cause immune cells in the gut to secrete inflammatory cytokines, inflammation, and that inflammation stops the vagus nerve from conveying signals between the gut and the brain. They blocked those inflammatory signals, and again, communication was restored and the memory came back to the mice even when the bacteria was still present in high amounts. The big takeaway here is that some brain aging can be controlled and even reversed by focusing on things happening elsewhere in the body outside of the brain. They're now looking for treatments that use this same pathway in humans. Follow if you want to hear about it when they publish.
In 2010, a former beetle ecologist predicted America would tear itself apart. Everyone laughed. Peter Turchin, a complexity scientist, said the US and Western Europe would see growing instability over the next decade. He cited stagnating wages, ballooning debt, and too many degree holders chasing too few positions. Colleagues dismissed it. As time went on, he looked more and more right. Turchin calls the mechanism elite overproduction. More people trained for elite roles than roles that exist. The US awards 55,000 doctorates a year. Fewer than 17% get tenure track jobs. An Ohio study of law school's class of 2010 tracked graduates into jobs as pest control technicians, tennis instructors, and lingerie salespeople. This pattern isn't new. Hong Shuo Chen, born to a farming family in 1814 China, failed the civil service exam 4 times. His village had pooled resources to fund his education. After the 4th failure, he declared himself to be God's second son and launched the Taiping Rebellion, one of the deadliest conflicts in human history, with a higher toll than World War I. In 75% of historical cases Turchin analyzed, elite overproduction led to breakdown, not reform. Today, in South Korea, where 69% of young adults hold degrees, cram schools are so competitive that subsidiary cram schools now exist solely to coach students into more prestigious cram schools. Cram schools for cram schools. Brian Kaplan, an American economist, estimates 80% of education's return comes from signaling, not actual skills, which means the system doesn't fail when someone like Ellen Tara James Penny sleeps in her Volvo with $140,000 in debt. That's the system working exactly as designed.
The US military purchased over 1,000 PlayStations to build a supercomputer. Back in the day, the US military needed a supercomputer, and instead of spending millions on one, they just bought 1,760 PlayStation 3s. They called it the Condor cluster, and at that time, it was one of the fastest supercomputers on the planet. Now, the reason they did it is because a PS3 cost about $300. The cell processor inside it was designed for pretty insane parallel processing, more than a normal PC could handle. So for around $500,000 in consoles, they got performance that would have cost them tens of millions with traditional hardware. The Air Force Research Lab actually published a paper about it. They used it for things like radar imaging, pattern recognition, and satellite data processing. This was actual important military workloads running on a gaming console. The military actually had to make sure none of their units were ever connected to the internet so they wouldn't auto-update and break the whole setup.
I have no problem with the government spending an immense amount of my tax dollars on that. That's where it's going. Y'all making smart decisions, fine, so y'all can stretch the money and use it for other resources for us. Wonderful. But all that other egregious nonsense y'all be doing, gotta stop.
Funny though, because a lot of hardware advancements come from military, including GPS, but in this case, a gaming console was actually so ahead that they just decided to use that.
It has confirmed the loud boom heard by many Ohioans and some Pennsylvanians this morning was actually caused by a meteor. It's one of the stories that we're tracking for you this hour. Videos taken by eyewitnesses show the bright shooting star streaking across the sky, including this one captured by one startled driver's dash cam camera.
What the was that?
A NASA spokesperson says the meteor was traveling about 40,000 miles per hour, which he added is fast for a human, but slow for a meteor.
Jamie Foxx claims when he was in the hospital, they tried to switch him out, and he actually saw the white version of him walk through a wall towards him and nobody did anything. This is so wild. Look at this and tell me what you see and what you hear.
The me.
Yes.
When they said I was a that made me flip in the hospital. That's it. These motherfuckers trying to I didn't have a stroke. So I'm sitting in the hospital bed like these, and then I saw me walk into my room. But I'm white, so I see the white me.
But he had a Caesar too, just
Not
like you?
all that, the white me.
Okay, gotcha.
And I'm like, and I'm trying to get their attention, and no one said anything. And I'm like, that's it. They trying to climb this mother all the thing. And so the next morning I was out of.
Now, when he was in the hospital, we had allegedly heard that all kinds of stuff had happened, that he was unalived, he was almost unalived. And now it's interesting that he's actually talking about he thinks he might have been switched and he actually saw another version of himself.
What the heck is this? I had a family member.
Y'all think Jamie Foxx was trolling, playing into the clone role, trying to get his comedic jokes and things up? Or there was a dash of honesty in there? Let me know how y'all feel about it.
Worked at the Prudential Center in Boston. This is the Museum of Science's live stream on the Boston Harbor. And I have no idea. You'll see it in a second. Gonna go off the building and bam. What is that? Just kind of flying around there. I zoomed in on it and put it in slow motion on the next part of the video. But the crazy part is the next day when he went back to try to replay it to show one of his coworkers, the Museum of Science had actually deleted that hour off of their live stream. So I don't think it was something that we were supposed to see. Is this extraterrestrial? Is this a government experience? This is, again, the Museum of Science in Boston's live cam. Tell me your thoughts.
Going on in Texas. Crazy things all up in the sky. Zombie warnings at a courthouse in Texas. This video was recorded by this guy right here, and thank you to the girl that reached out to me and sent it to me. This is not a meteor, guys. You can see it going around in circles and doing all sorts of weird stuff. At the same time, they heard something all the way from Ohio to New York, they were saying. It was a loud, crazy boom that shook everything. And we got this thing going on at the same time. And this is in Texas. And obviously in Texas, they're finding little pamphlets that are about preparing for zombies. And I'm not saying it's related, but I'm saying it's weird that all this happens at the same exact time. By the way, have you seen all the meteors lately? Like the last week? It's just every single day we're seeing these in the sky. And don't even lie to yourself and say it's a meteor. This thing is doing gymnastics in the sky, going around in circles and left and right. So I guess zombies is next. What do y'all think?
Well, we're going to end our Saturday night compilation with that. Let me know how y'all feel about it. There's a lot of things going on in the world, from the spiritual side to the WAR that the U.S. is in, and all the propaganda and misinformation we're getting. Well, I'm here to give you that non-biased, non-mainstream media. I'm going to keep giving it to y'all. We're going to keep taking these rabbit holes. We're going to get down to some architecture, and we got a long journey to go. Let me know in the comments anything y'all want me to get into, us to get into. You know I am your humble host, Cash, capital K, $ for this.